But Cassidy, if I'm gonna be honest, I think there's real reasons why he's not like a top contender for this MVP award. First of all, he doesn't have the statistical dominance. You know, he's not a high-flying dunker like Giannis.
Hoops it up. Bunker!
I don't think he has the overall importance to his team.
I literally have been fighting for my life trying to get this team to get the respect they deserve. And not even the next day I see this dumb shit. I don't know who this person is, but she should never ever be allowed on ESPN ever again, or at least never be able to talk Suns basketball. Now this video isn't strictly about Devin Booker and his MVP case, while I want to talk about all the MVP players and I guess the race as a whole, because it's kind of different this year. For those of you that don't know, this is my first full year covering the NBA, and I honestly thought that maybe I just wasn't watching basketball as much as I thought in past years, and maybe now that I'm doing it full time, I thought maybe now I'm just understanding a new aspect to the game where I'm seeing all these players and I'm paying attention to these awesome performances. But it turns out I'm not the only one that feels that. I mean, I cannot tell you the last time I saw this many MVP candidates going on. I don't know if this means that the word MVP candidate is kind of losing its meaning, or the amount of talented players in the NBA is unmatched right now, and that's why we're all thinking to say MVP candidate when a player drops 50. The race has been changing every other week. Sometimes you'll see Jokic at the top, Embiid at the top, maybe even Giannis. We even had a point where Ja and DeMar DeRozan were at the top. In this video, I want to talk about the MVP race because it hasn't been this competitive in a very long time. Before I get into the content, I want to thank you guys because yesterday's video absolutely went insane. I mean, it has like 9K views and it hasn't even been 24 hours. In fact, this video gave the last push I needed to hit 6K subscribers, which we did, so thank you so much. I will say though, just for the record, that was one of my favorite videos that I've ever recorded. While I don't like what Shaq said, which by the way, if you don't know what he said, you should definitely check out the video. But of course, if you guys could leave a like on this and subscribe to the channel if you're new and notifications on, I'd very much appreciate it. We are trying to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, and your subscription would be greatly appreciated. Also, I'm going to be streaming live on Twitch tonight, twitch.tv/Spex. If you want to come through, talk basketball, react to videos with me, and overall just have a good time, then make sure you do check it out. With all that being said, run that intro. Since I started the intro by talking about Devin Booker, I think it only makes sense to bring him up first. I'm not going to make a whole 5-minute segment about him, only because I've talked about him so many times on this channel and I have so many videos where I make my case why he should be the MVP, but I do want to list some points. It seems like the factor of being the best team in the NBA right now really isn't playing that much of an effect into the MVP conversation. And while I don't think that just means, okay, whoever has the best record, their star player should be in the MVP conversation, but the Phoenix Suns #1 are better than every team right now, and the gap is not even close, and I've been saying this for a while. #2, Devin Booker is the best at his position. There's no shooting guard better than him, and there are so many out there, and I'm sorry, it's not even close right now. And since we have to talk about stats when it comes to MVP, that woman actually lied in the intro. She said that Devin Booker is not a top 10 scorer statistically, however, he's at the #9 spot right now. And it's not like his 49-point performance last night really changed anything. He's been averaging around 26.3 points per game, so it's not like his averages went up by crazy and that's why he's in the top 10. He's been in the top 10 for a while, but I guess she just didn't do her research and has no idea what she's talking about. To say Devin Booker is not a top 45 assist maker is also a lie. He's number 37 on the list, and obviously I'm not saying he's the best playmaker in the NBA, but I would like to note that Booker's not a point guard. He's a shooting guard that has only played a couple games at point guard. Everything she said was laughable, and like I said in the intro, I don't think she should ever talk Phoenix Suns basketball again. Every MVP candidate needs that MVP marquee performance, and I think last night was definitely that. Overall, it was just a perfect game for Devin Booker, and it was everything you could have asked for. While I don't think the media is going to let him win the MVP because that would mean that the media was wrong, even though we already know that, I think we all know the guy that the NBA media is favoring this year to win the MVP. If you thought this was going to be a segment where I just start to rip on every other player in the MVP conversation and say why Devin Booker should win it above them, you'd be sadly mistaken, because like I said in the intro as well, there are so many talented players in the NBA and there are so many players in the conversation for a reason. Depending how long this Embiid segment is, I'm either going to talk about 3 or 4 players total in this video, but there's no way I'm going to make an MVP video and not at least talk about Joel Embiid, who is the favorite right now and who I think is probably going to win it. And I'm not even blaming people for saying he should win it. I mean, the Sixers are doing well right now. They are a top team in the East, but the dominance that Embiid has had on the court just straight up is not even something that you can prove with stats. I mean, we can look at points per game and rebounds, but when he's on the court, that team is doing well. I know some people had a little bit of speculation of what was going to happen because Ben Simmons got traded and all that fiasco, and were the 76ers going to do well, but most of the season they've been fine. The man is averaging nearly 30 points per game and 11.3 rebounds, so I honestly think that he has the stats to win MVP. He definitely has the importance. And like Devin Booker, Joel Embiid also did have a marquee performance, and that was his 50-point game versus the Orlando Magic. So I think it's very easy to say that Embiid has everything he needs to win the MVP, and I think the most realistic situation would have Embiid winning just because he's getting favored by so many people. I think the gap is kind of starting to be a little more wider when it comes to who's going to be first in the MVP race and who's second, and the runner-up is actually the guy I want to talk about next. My MVP vote for a majority of the season has been Nikola Jokic. However, because of Devin Booker, I would vote for him if I was put in that situation to vote on who would be the MVP. Jokic and Embiid have identical numbers. In fact, other than points per game, Jokic is actually beating Embiid in every other statistical category that has to do with the main three, which is points, assists, and rebounds. Now, if you've been following my channel for months, you know that I've been hyping up Jokic a lot to win the MVP, and for most of the season, it was actually pretty close between Jokic and Embiid. However, I think that narrative is starting to change. Lately, the Denver Nuggets have been losing a lot of games, and because of that, they're possibly going to be a play-in team. And even if Nikola Jokic had been putting up 50 points per game and a triple-double, there's no way in my mind that the MVP voters would let Jokic win it, especially if the Denver Nuggets are a play-in team. And I don't even blame them, because I do think there's an aspect of the game where you need to at least be a top playoff team to win the MVP. So while if I had to vote for a finalist and Booker wasn't on that list, I think I would still pick Jokic personally. But if the Denver Nuggets continue to lose, then I just don't think there's a chance that Jokic could win the MVP, which really does suck as he's having a really good year. Now, despite the Phoenix Suns stripping away Denver's dignity last night, they do have some positives, like guys like Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray are set to come back pretty soon, hopefully in time for the playoffs, which obviously would benefit Jokic because he'd be getting some help and he wouldn't have to lead this team, because a lot of points that people have been making about Jokic and MVP, if Jokic was to tear his ACL or be out or not be on this team, then the Denver Nuggets would be a lottery team if that. It's not like they don't have good players, that's not what I'm saying. It's just the problem that Jokic leads this team and the way he plays makes other players do well. It's like Tom Brady or Peyton Manning in the NFL. They have that ability to make no-name receivers become big-name receivers. It's weird if you don't understand it, but basically what I'm trying to say is that Jokic's impact to all the players in this team in general is something that I don't see with any other MVP candidate. The MVP race this year has been very close. There are so many talented players, and while I don't think it's fair that we're starting to have the conversation that everyone seems to be getting in the MVP race and then pinning it on Booker dropping nearly 50 points and be like, oh, you know, we can't just say every player is going to win MVP. But if you were to ask me, I think the four candidates should be Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Devin Booker. Like I've said this whole video, if I had an opportunity to vote for the MVP, I'd be giving it to Booker because first of all, his team is the best in the NBA. He has the stats, he has everything you could want. But unfortunately, as Booker said, the criteria has started to change for whoever the player is, and he's absolutely right. I mean, it depends again who the player is, who the media loves, and shit like that. Embiid has been very dominant this year. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He has the stats. Again, he has the accolades and everything you could want, which is probably why he's the favorite. And Jokic has done everything he can to win the MVP and be a back-to-back, and there would be no doubt in my mind that if he did win it, I don't think I'd be shocked. I know I didn't talk about Giannis even though I said he was a top 4 candidate. That's only because I didn't want to make this video too long, and I actually am planning to make a video on just Giannis in the future. The unfortunate reality is that there are so many people that are worth it. There are so many people that have the qualities and could honestly qualify to win MVP, but unfortunately only one person can win it.